สัพพะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะการุณิโกนะโตอิตายะสัพพะภาลินังปุเรตวะปารมิสัพพะปัตโตสัมโพธิมุตตมังเวเตนะสัจวะเจนะโหตุเตจยมังคลังจยันโตปุญติยโมเลสักยานันนันทิวันตโนเอวันตวังวิจัยโยโหอิจยันสุชยมังคเลอปราจิตาปัลลังเกสิเสปตาวิปุงคเลอภิเสเกสัพพพุทธานังอังคาปะโตภโมตันติสุนาคันตังสุมังคลังสุภาปันตังสุโหติตังสุขโนสุโมโหโตจัสสุเยทังพระมจาริสุปตากินังกายกรรมังวาจากรรมังปัฏฐากินังปัฏฐากินังมโนกรรมังปานิติเตปัฏฐากินังปัฏฐากินานิกตวานาลาปันตันเทปัฏฐากิเน
Front kneel down. 無常人人未明法百千万語難遭遇我根検問特有事願言如来真実義般若波羅蜜多心用漢字大菩薩行事般若波羅蜜多一生懸命大苦道一切苦役者利子式不意苦苦不意識識即是苦苦即是識重要識薬無尿税者利子税小苦相不生不滅不浄不増不減税法不修無識無住創業識無限に微絶心に無識証拠未速報無限界内し無意識界無無明薬無無明人内し無老死薬無老死人無苦終滅道無知薬無得意無所得菩提サタエ般若波羅蜜多行深無軽減無軽減公無無理一切天道無相仏教涅槃三世小仏般若波羅蜜多法徳阿耨多羅三脈三菩提高知般若波羅蜜多世大人衆世大名 한이시 그도그 흑유오이 사잉아 도여주죠 아이그 도급승도
Shari Gogo Yatsor
도와 김행 구승 대대별 인내밀딘 영무적 보고 대대라 나원적 세배를 모인찬라 허선 김행 온회다가 무罪대구 노르 사선발라 허선 노르 스왈라 두르세스베 허선 오르보스 허스나스베 두르스 오르보스 발라 돈시당 미트르회바 호랑 미트회바 호랑 무트회 기게 테 미트회노 허선 발라 샤리 후군 데 미틴돈 하모게 나무 허선복은 빌리 찬라로게 turkhuyoge tuthuyoge kheroge khere satsangmoge borkhuyoge nimkhuyoge bola shari gogun teremetin dolu buga sasan dolu durasuge mithuyoge hora mithuyoge hora mithuyoge no toge temethuyoge no toge chekoge hamoroge kheroge teyoge setkeloge dorusoge toge onuroge amtoge porthuyoge yomusoge balay nutnem arangoge setlim arangoge setlim demethuem arandar Urtabeyoge balay mongoyoge mongoy markakwe ukyeges utlakwe ukakwe utlakwe ukakwe arakakwe dara urtabeyoge balay toishtan davlamba bugün arayge turukba moruge belge belgoge Allah'uge ngol Allah'ver şerin hugun dermetin dot Pade satva narang Allah'ugen dot Bilgen canday kursun gongondar Şutelar şiyoy sitkedar Tutkuruge vallat eyhuge boyu Şan vurmaz maşinıksın Irvanin yetsiz kuru ve Orvan saydar Yetti sosayn hamay burhan be Bilgin canlı kursun gongondar Şutederoge unker tosun patetor Yetti tuksun burhan balva Teremetin dot Bilgin canlı kursun terin Ek ohani terin Dinsiloge terin Satsı bosluğa Satso terin Hamagi zollayın maşı Demiri loluş terin Hokuda osin dot Onun kime medet Bilgin canı kursni Terni gugudu Datyata Om gadi gadi vara gadi Varasam gadi vadi Sohay Şeri hugum vadi satva Maha satva nar bir Terimite kum bilgin canlı kursundar Sorulsumı tindis yay Toğuz nuksun deri samadhi gaz Bosıç vadi satva Maha satva Odaynu derutsi ilki sen kimin hugu sen yasvortni hugun tere tuştum balay tere tuştum hugu çene yamar mete ucusa tuştum kum bilgin canlı kursun daray yavayda koy tuştum irsut bir tağım baysıl tvay yalçı toğuz nuksun Yekimin derdi basındar Nasna dugundur şerik hukuk Hege valdi satva maha satva Otoynu terutsi şirkid bahay Hamay doğa tugul troy Titkirva tengir humumba Nasuri kandari Siz yurtun sakin dağın baysılsa Yalçı tuğusluk zımbe Namus
So today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow for these 3 days, the Manjushri Cycle of Teachings, which was started last year, and the remaining part of this cycle of teaching going to be done this time. So this has come down through Lama Umapa Bodhgaya, who, even as a child shepherd, saw in a vision Manjushri, and from then on, whenever he wanted, he was able to have vision of Manjushri, so he could see Manjushri as desired. And so Lama Umapa Bodhgaya, from him this transmission was passed on. I received it from Tata Rinpoche. So with regard to Manjushri, he's said to have this a youthful countenance, who with his wisdom dispels the darkness of the three world system, three worlds. Now here, this is not talking about darkness, dispelling the darkness outside, but darkness of ignorance and the three poisons that are within ourselves. So he eliminates or dispels the darkness of ignorance of the three worlds. Of course, for the theistic religious traditions, faith in the God that they believe in is enough. But those traditions which do not believe in Creator God, we need to use our human brain maximally and try to through that we find means to transform our mind. And therefore, wisdom is very important in this. And then with regard to wisdom, there is the great wisdom of greatness, or comprehension, or grasping power, wisdom, of lucid wisdom, and swift wisdom. And so those who are engaged in studying Buddhist philosophy need all these four types of wisdom. And the fourth one is the profound wisdom. And therefore, the best practice of developing and wisdom to develop one's intelligence further is and then engage in the study of philosophy and logic could actually develop these four types of wisdoms. Those who are engaged in the study of Buddhist philosophy and logic could actually develop these four wisdoms through their study. So there are many monastics from the monastic seats of learning here, as I said, yes, the last days also. The great abbot, Master Chandrakshita, the Master Padmasambhava, and the Tibetan king, through whom we have received the Nalanda tradition of Buddhism. And so we need to keep up with this tradition, which exists only in Tibet, using reason and logic in the study of Buddhist tradition exists only amongst us. And so, in order to dispel the darkness within one's own mind, we study the texts through logical approach, logical reasoning and debate. Although you may have quite a good wisdom or intelligence to write books or to teach to others, but it is also very important to develop the wisdom for the critical arguments and debate as well. So while I do the preparatory ritual for this Jenang, the permission, you could, the rest of you, that could recite the Arapasana mantra of Manjushri. And then when I finish the first Jenang, then I'll do the preparatory ritual for the next one at that point of time. Although there is also the tradition of doing the preparatory ritual in one go in the beginning, but it would be more clear to us to do the preparatory ritual and at the just before each of these the related jenangs or the permission to practice the deities. Why do the people in the front row don't have the tea? The rest of the people seem to have tea, but not the ones in the front row. With the rootful countenance, with his wisdom dispelling the darkness of the three worlds, I prostrate to Manjushri. Arabazana de Oma Arabazana
그지 또 카트르
So when I give initiations, empowerments, and permissions, there are many people. I mean, these are being webcast, through which they reach many different countries. And since there are people who watch this initiation, this Jenang on the internet, through the webcast, and as I have sincere motivation to give this initiation with the sense of care and love, and you and those people who are watching online through with devotion, unstinting faith and devotion. So in the past, when the Buddha was not in a certain place, there were cases, instances of giving full ordination of monastics through communication, through letters and communication, and to people living far away from the Buddha. And so, since this practice was there in the Vinaya practice, which was strictly practiced even during the time of the Buddha, And this particular teaching, cycle of Manjushri teachings, belongs to the highest yoga tantra, and so therefore the people watching online should keep their faith, fervent faith, and undivided faith in and take this, and so they could receive this Jenang. Me to chama re rab ling she nyen de gemba de this ground anointed with perfume strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, sun and the moon. I imagine it as a Buddha filled and offer it to you. Some years so children they show your correct lams. Did game into church the mush. Dirish. So may the drum, sound of the Lama drum dispel the suffering of all beings. So since it's quite cold here in Bodhgaya, in Vajrasana, the people from South India are being greeted by this cold weather. Are you feeling cold? Please repeat this. You who are endowed with the aggregates of all-knowing pristine wisdom, you have completely removed the wheel of worldly existence. Kindly protect me, principal deity, through the precious Dharma you explained today. So, of course, we have found this human life, and all of us do not want suffering but want happiness. But we do not pay attention to what actually brings what brings suffering to ourselves. And we do not see to it, how we could overcome this suffering that we have. And similarly, what we desire, happiness, we do not, even that too, we do not analyze and try to find what the causes of this happiness are. And so, in this life, we have met with the teaching of the Buddha, and which is part of the Indian tradition, where there are means to discipline our mind, control our mind. So pain and pleasure have mainly to do with our mental consciousness, and therefore in all the sutras and tantras unanimously say that the source of our unhappiness is self-cherishing attitude, this extreme self-centeredness, which combines with the grasping at some true independent existence in things and help each other. And so this distorted misconception, the misconception which is clinging to true existence, and our self-cherishing attitude are the causes of all our undesired, unwanted suffering. We take refuge in the Buddha, Master Nagarjuna, and his followers and disciples, and Manjushri, as well as Maitreya. And so they have become enlightened through following the teaching of the Buddha. So we are, when I give statues of the Buddha to people, I usually say that this is our teacher. The Buddha is our teacher, and we are his students, and therefore we need to pursue study of Buddhism. And therefore, just whatever practices the Buddha had done in the past, which means practicing the bodhicitta, with which he held sentient beings as more dear than himself. And so the Buddha underwent the practice of first cultivating and developing bodhicitta, and then accumulating merit and wisdom over 3 countless eons, and then finally became enlightened. And so at this very special place where we have met with the teaching of the Buddha, we need to start from this life so that we can be on the onset, on the path of the enlightenment. So imagine the Buddha and the 8 close Bodhisattva disciples who are deities, and also the masters of the past, Nagarjuna and so forth, as well as Tibetan masters. And specifically in the context of this Nangdup, the inner accomplishment, Manjushri, in union with Saraswati. And so imagine the Lama to be inseparable from the main deity of the mandala. And so please take these Bodhisattva vows. I seek refuge in the 3 jewels. I seek refuge, and I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment to the Buddha Dharma and highest assembly. I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment to fulfill the interests of oneself and others. I generate mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings to my guest. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightened conduct. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. Please repeat for the same time. As a refuge in the 3 jewels, I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to heart Buddha's enlightenment to the Buddha Dharma and highest assembly. I seek refuge to seek reach enlightenment. So at the end of the 3rd repetition now, when you say, may I attain Buddhahood, to benefit all sentient beings, please think that you have received a full set of Bodhisattva vows. To the Buddha Dharma and highest assembly, I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment to fulfill the interests of oneself and others. I generate mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightened contacts. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. Since you have received the Bodhisattva vows yesterday too, this helps to enhance the Bodhisattva vow further. Next is the tantric vow. So most of you have received initiations in the 2 higher tantras, Yoga Tantra and the highest Yoga Tantra, where you have the which have the practice of taking tantric vows. So most of you, I guess, most of you have received the highest yoga tantra initiations of Guhyasamaja, Heruka, and Vajrabhara Yavantaka. and also the Kalachakra. And so, having taken these, so Kangsa Dorje Shang has written a short self-initiation of the solitary hero Yamantaka of Vajrabhairava. And so, as I took the commitment, made the commitment to do this, the Vajrabhairava from Gyabjaling Rinpoche, I do this short self-initiation, which Kangsa Dorje Shang had written. And so now, next, you are going to take the so now, imagine all the deities of the mandala, too, here, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Please pay attention to me. Say this. I'll free those not freed, I'll liberate those not liberated, I'll relieve those unrelieved, and I'll lead to the full liberation, those who are not fully liberated. So from now on until enlightenment, just as the Buddhas of the three times generated bodhicitta, and practice bodhisattva vows, please repeat these again. I, with this name, I liberate those not liberated, free those unfreed, and relieve those unrelieved. And so the disciples arise into the form of the principal deity. As I said yesterday, so generating yourselves into a deity must be done from within the meditation on emptiness. And so, having meditated on emptiness, and then you see from within the state of the emptiness, all these things that appear to us do seem to have some existence, but when we do not do any kind of critical analysis, they do exist. But when you do critical analysis, nothing can be found to have any intrinsic existence. So our suffering and all the undesired experiences happen due to our ignorance, and therefore one should try to gain certitude that nothing whatever has any intrinsic existence as this misconception perceives. As the seventh Dalai Lama says, do not hold things to have any intrinsic existence, like true existence. but look at the empty nature of them. So these perceptions at the crossroad of the the different appearances at the crossroad of six perceptions, there is this hazy appearance which is deceptive. And so when we meditate on emptiness or selflessness, all the philosophical schools of Buddhism do assert the emptiness or the absence of an substantially self-sufficiently existing self, which has the same characteristic as that of the aggregates. So when you think of yourself, you have this notion that you are somewhere here within, as if you can point your finger at that. And when you look at others, when I look at you, for example, the monks and nuns and Tibetans and lay people and so forth, I also perceive as if there is someone called monk or nun or lay people, lay person and so forth within this your body. But when you actually search for that self or what you call I, you cannot find it anywhere. And therefore, the basis of designation of a person or a self, the psychophysical aggregates, and particularly the mind, the Savatantrika Madhyamakas point at the sixth consciousness, which is the instance of a self, and then the Chittamatras point to that of the Alaya Vijnana, the foundational consciousness. And then when we think of the highest Yoga Tantra practice, which way we say all the samsara and nirvana arise from the innate clear-light mind, we tend to kind of have a notion that this clear-light mind is the person. But when you critically analyze and investigate into the aggregates and the self, you cannot find anything as being the person. So everything in the universe, all the phenomena, of course, when we do not do any kind of critical analysis to find their actual real identity, they do exist. We can actually feel the effects of causes and conditions and so forth. Whereas nothing whatever has any intrinsic inherent existence. Yet that doesn't mean things do not exist, but they do exist by way of designation. And so a self which is designated on the basis of psychophysical aggregates does exist, but it does not have any inherent independent existence. And so Swabhava, Shuddha refers to the selflessness of persons, and Sarvadharma, Shuddha refers to the selflessness of all phenomena, including the five aggregates. And so determine in your mind that nothing whatever has any intrinsic independent existence as they appear to. So everything, persons or beings and other phenomena, have this certainty that nothing whatever has any they do exist the way they appear to you. And so Om Shunyata refers to the emptiness And jnana refers to the mind which perceives that emptiness or realizes or ascertains that emptiness. And so that mind itself also is empty of any inherent existence. And therefore, when you meditate on emptiness with your mind, of course, we can meditate on emptiness of external things, but ultimately, when we meditate on emptiness, we need to focus on the emptiness of the mind itself. So, Om Shunyata Jnana refers to the emptiness, and the emptiness, the mind meditating on the emptiness. And Vajra refers to the indifferentiable of these two, undifferentiable emptiness and the mind meditating on emptiness. And Swabhava refers to inherent or the nature. It's not that the object of negation, but what we ascertain as the true, the ultimate nature of the mind and emptiness. And so, you are familiar with the profound emptiness, especially those who study Prajnaparamita and Madhyamaka. Therefore, meditate on emptiness now. As Master Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamaka Karika, right in the beginning it says, not from self, not from another, not from both, neither without causes. Anything, whatever, has any arising or birth anywhere. Though we do have this perception of good, bad, and so forth, as if they are truly, they have some kind of a solid, independent existence, but they do not, and therefore ascertain empty nature of everything. And it would be good also to say this, Om Shunyata Jnana. So from everything becomes empty, everything dissolves into emptiness. From the sphere of emptiness, a lotus flower and sun seed arise. On top of the sun seed are the seeds, syllables of thee and Tri that are joined in union. Rays of light radiate out from the seed. So if you meditate on emptiness and the bodhicitta, there's no greater offering that you can make to the Arya beings and benefit sentient beings than these two factors. The rays of light return to the seed syllable. They transform and you become Manjushri. In your right hand you hold a sword and in your left hand a Dharma text. You are so you can imagine the scripture of the 8,000 lines of Prajnaparamita. You are in union with Saraswati, who in her right hand also holds a sword, and in her left the Dharma text. You are both orange in color. You sit cross-legged in the Vajra position, and your concert sits in the lotus sitting position. Both of you are adorned with precious jewels and bone ornaments. So have a very clear vision of yourself as a deity with a concert. You need to stop perceiving your body as being made of flesh, bone, and blood. So that must be stopped. But you need to imagine yourself imagine that you have arisen from this mind which has been absorbed in meditation. From within that state of meditation and emptiness, you have arisen into the deity, Manjushri, orange in color. At your heart is a variegated lotus flower with 4 petals. On each petal is one of the Tathagatas of the 5 Buddha families together with their consorts. In the center of the lotus flower is blue Akshobhya in union with his consort. Mamaki on eastern petal is white Virachana in union with his consort Lochana. On the southern petal, the yellow Ratna Sambhava with consort Precious Tara. On the western petal, Amitabha in union with consort Pandara Vasini. On the northern petal, green Amoga Siddhi in union with his consort Samaya their posture, implements, and ornaments are the same as those of the principal deity. So everything, the varieties of things as well as the reality as it is permeated with the bodies of the Buddha, because the union of the union body of the Buddha permeates everything. It's not like they come to you when you invite them and don't come when you don't. That's not the case. So at the forehead of these deities are the white Oms, and at the throat a red R, and at the heart blue Hums. Rays of light radiate out from the heart of the Lama and deity, and from the front generation invoking limitless manifestations of Manjushri from the heart of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. Like the fine rain, these manifestations slowly dissolve into your body. So from the home syllable at the heart of the Guru and the main deity in the mandala, the rays of light radiate into the 10 directions and invoke Manjushri from the heart of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas at the 10 directions. And they dissolve into you with Za Hum Bam Ho being uttered. So the Manjushri with his concert comes down on your crown, and the replica of them goes down into your body. These 5 Buddha families with their consorts sits in the center of your heart. Kodo. Please repeat this just as the Vajra enlightened one granted Buddhas empowerments that are foundation of all good qualities in order to protect migratory beings. Please grant me the empowerment. So this is the request. So having made this request, visualize that the revered Lama Manjushri and his consort move to the space above the crown of your head. So the Yab-yum, the main deity with his consort, symbolizes that of those of the great bliss and the great bliss, when we generate great bliss, it helps to the grosser or the coarser states of mind and wind and energy, so that they finally dissolve into the indestructible drop at the heart, and that helps to for the innate clear light mind to become manifest. In order to actualize that, so the deity with his consort represents the skillful means and wisdom. And replicas of the Tathagatas and their consorts are located at the heart of the Lama Manjushri, come forth like a second flame that separates, ignites other butter lamps. The replicas descend into your body and settle on the 4-petal lotus flower at your heart. In the center, Akshobhya, in union with Mamaki, and the eastern petal, Vairocana, in union with Lochana, and the southern petal, Ratnasambhava, in concert with his consort Precious Tara. On the western petal, Amitabha, in union with Pandaravasini. In the northern petal, green Mogasiti, in union with Samaya Tara. At their forehead is a white Om. At their hearts are, at their throat are, and at their red are, and at their heart blue hum. From the seed syllable of the deity's stream nectar flows forth that fills your entire body. It purifies your 5 afflictions, transforms your 5 aggregates, and actualizes the 5 primordial wisdom. So this purifies the obscurations of your body. You have attained the vast empowerment and left imprints for the attainment of resultant Nirmanakaya. Next, again, make the request, just as the Vajra Bodhi granted Buddha's empowerments, there are the foundations of all good qualities in order to So visualize that the sounds of the pleasure from the union of Manjushri and concert above the crown of your head. Invoke Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas enter the crown Manjushri and move through the body. His body, you experience the white and red bodhicitta that has risen from the place of the union of Manjushri and is gone. The stream of bodhicitta descends into your throat and into the throat of the deities of your heart. So merely tasting this bodhicitta, your mind enters into the meditative absorption, and so this blesses your veins and channels, and thereby helps to dissolve or withdraw the wind energy into the central channel. So the subtle mind and subtle wind are of the same nature or essence, except that they have different functions of clarity or awareness and movement towards objects. So due to experiencing the bodhicitta on your tongue, so you're given this inner offering. Your mind enters into meditative absorption on the inseparability of bliss and emptiness as the object of which is emptiness of bliss. And so, as you experience this or taste the inner offering, it helps to dissolve or withdraw the energies, wind energies, and the dissolution of the grosser states of mind, and thereby your mind becomes subtler and subtler as a preliminary to actualize the clear light, innate clear light mind. So imagine having experience of great bliss within yourself. So experiencing the bodhicitta on your tongue, your mind enters into meditative absorption and inseparability of bliss and emptiness, the object of which is the emptiness of bliss. A replica arises from the mantra chain at the heart of the 5 Tathagatas and their consorts, who are located at the heart of the Reverend Lama Manjushri, who in turn is in the space above the crown of your heart. The replica of the mantra chain exits Manjushri's mouth, enters your mouth and settles at your heart, where it surrounds the seed syllable D. Visualize that rays of light radiate out from the mantra chain in your heart and increase your unobstructed intelligence with regards to the meaning. Please repeat this. Om Arabazanadi Shri. Om Arabazanadi Shri. Om Arabazanadi Shri. So this purifies obstacles of your speech. You have attained the secret empowerment and which has left imprints for the attainment of the resultant Bodhgaya. Please repeat this request. Just as Vajrabodhi granted Buddha's empowerments, they are a foundation of all good qualities. In order to protect my creative beings, please grant me the empowerments. So the Vajra disciples arise in the form of solitary hero Manjushri, and the Lama, who is above the crown of your head, presents you with a 16-year-old Saraswati as a consort, and says, this is the foundation of all the bliss of conquerors and dear consorts. Utilize this supreme deity as an offering child. So when you actually go into absorption or in union with the three recognitions of yourself, your body as a deity, and your speech and your mind, your speech as the mantra and your mind as Dhammakaya. With these three realizations, you should go in union with the concert. And so the mind of the omniscient mind of a Buddha and the inner energy arises or transforms into the body or the physical body of the Buddha, and so they become of one taste. So visualize the Lama in his concert in the space in front of you. The concert dissolves into Manjushri. Manjushri dissolves into Dimara. Since all phenomena are free from from fabrication, this inconceivable, inexpressible mode of existence is the nature of the fourth. Please repeat this. Through your kindness, I have attained the three types of empowerments of the principal deity from your lot at your lotus feet. Please kindly bestow on me today the precious fourth empowerment. So visualize Lama Manjushri and his concert in the space in front of you. The concert dissolves into Manjushri. Manjushri dissolves into the seed syllable D that is at his heart. The seed syllable D sinks into the Visarga, the two dots, that is part of the D, and the Visarga symbol disappears into the rainbow, like a rainbow in the sky. So that with that, remind yourself of the lack of inherent existence of anything. So enter your mind into the meditative absorption on this regarding the meaning of the visualization. So this is the fourth initiation. Since all phenomena are free from fabrication, this inconceivable, inexpressible mode of existence is the nature of the fourth empowerment. It purifies the obstructions of your mind. You have attained the fourth empowerment and left imprints for the realization of such resultant Bodhgaya. So the vast empowerment purifies your body, the secret empowerment your speech, and wisdom empowerment your mind, and then the fourth empowerment brings the union state of the mind and the body. So this leaves imprints for the realization of the resultant. So receiving. So this is, it says, this is the nature of the fourth initiation. In Tibet, in the past, in the Sakya tradition, when they gave the fourth initiation, it is given on the basis of the empty nature of the mind itself, the wisdom, on the basis of the wisdom. Rinpoche's tradition do not emphasize just the mere subjective wisdom, but gives this initiation in context with the union of the mind and the body of a Buddha. So this union of the mind and body of a Buddha is what is introduced through this during this fourth initiation. So this leaves imprints for the realization of the resultant Swabhavika Kaya. Please repeat this. Just as you, O Protector, actualize the good qualities of body, speech, and mind for the welfare of others, please help me, Protector, that I also develop them. Please help me, Protector, that I also develop them. Please help me, Protector, that I also develop them. So think that this request causes the deity of the mandala to dissolve into you, and that the body, speech, and mind of Manjushri become inseparable from your body, speech, and mind. So the statue or a flower of will be touched on the head of the disciples. The Lama places a flower or a Manjushri statue on your head. And the Lama recites the following verse 3 times. Just as the protector Manjushri is endowed with limitless qualities, may these fortunate ones, through the compassion of Manjushri, also cultivate these qualities. Just as so, may the fortunate ones, through the compassion or the kindness of Manjushri, also cultivate these qualities. So those people who are actually here, physically here, and those who are not here physically but watching and receiving this initiation online also, imagine this being done. The Lama says, may these fortunate ones, through the kindness of Manjushri, have also cultivate these qualities. Manjushri, there is outer Manjushri. For accomplishing that, you need to develop wisdom. And for that, you go through the process of study, reflection, and meditation, so that you develop the wisdom based on study or hearing teachings, reflecting on them, and meditating on the meaning. And then what we usually talk about as being attaining the grounds of the bodhisattvas. So through the practice of Manjushri, we should develop our intelligence and wisdom, so that we develop the union of calm abiding and wisdom, the vipassana. And so which must come through the process of study, reflection, and meditation. So when you do pursue study of the Buddhist philosophy, not just resorting to scriptural authority or scriptural citations, but using your own rational mind, so that you develop those of the wisdom called the greatness, the swift, clear wisdom, and profound wisdom, for which you go through the debate, and you pursue these wisdom through debate and arguments. So since you have received from me, the Lama, the Bodhisattva and the Tantric vows, please say whatever the chief deity, so I'll pay heed to whatever you command me to do. That's what we have repeated. We're doing a talk offering, which is given in the text itself. Nice. Get. Doji Chamber Sowale, Doji Yamba Doja, Simjaki, Simjakuni, Simjakuni, about Cho. Switch that. Zan is saying that the attendants have actually wrapped the blankets around his knees so tight that he couldn't move his knees. So they asked to nga tamba de shu de chao de na min do mi de na la min do So next, the seventh Jenang is the white deity, white Tara of wealth. So while I do the preparatory ritual, please recite the Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha mantra of Aryatara. 9. Dore swaha om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dore so om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare Om dare do dare dore swaha om dare do dare dore swaha 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 dare do dare dore
Lebum truk lebum truk subse lebum trukwa mersheta zamida guna la
Make the mandala offering, please. Please repeat this. You who endowed with the aggregates of knowing, all-knowing pristine wisdom, who have completely removed the veil of worldly existence, kindly protect me, Principal Deity, through the precious Dharma you explained today. So kindly protect me, Principal Deity. And next is taking the Bodhisattva vows. As you have heard it many times, now imagine here, in front of you in the space, Aryatara, and at the heart of the Guru also, White Tara, and in the form of Lama, in the form of White Tara as well. So here White Tara has the function of subjugation. So according to Goya Samaja Tantra, Bodhi Mandala Aryatara is the purified state of the motile energy. And so since the Buddhas serving other sentient beings come through the force of this wind energy, movement of the wind energy, Aryatara is the purified state of the wind, motile wind energy. And Dromtempa was actually said to have a special connection with Aryatara, and Aryatara has said that she will help him serve the beings of the land of snow. And in Tibet, in our monastic institutions of learning, there is the practice of, or the tradition of reciting the 21 Tara praise in the debating courtyard 21 times or so. And so and this Tara from the Manjushri Cycle of Teachings, which is the 7th Jenang, the Aryatara wealth deity, the Jenang of which is this. So imagine in the front, in the space, forever kind Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who never abandon sentient beings. As I said earlier too, if you do not lack in your devotion and faith, as I said earlier, the Buddha's body and speech and mind are always there, right at the place you are. As it is said, where there is a fervent, undivided devotion, the Buddhas are always there with you. So please repeat these lines for Bodhisattva vows. I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds. Individually, I rejoice in the virtues of all deeds of all beings. I take to heart Buddha's enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and highest assembly. I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment to the fulfill the interest of oneself and others, generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind of her highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightened contacts. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. Repeated for the second time, I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and highest assembly. I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment to fulfill the interests of oneself and others. I generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightened conduct. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. I seek refuge in the three jewels, confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and highest assembly. I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment to fulfill in one interest of oneself and others. I generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings. I guess I should engage in the delightful, sublime, and enlightenment. May I become enlightened, attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So now, with the Svabhava mantra, again remember emptiness. I am not one with the aggregates, nor separate from it. I'm not in the aggregates, nor are they in me. I don't possess the aggregates. Who am I? With these lines, meditate on emptiness. Everything dissolves into emptiness. From the sphere of emptiness in the space in front of you arises a lotus flower and the moon seed. On the moon seed stands a seed syllable thumb, from which rays of light radiate out that make offerings to the Arya beings and benefit sentient beings. The rays of light return, transform in you, arise as Vaitara with one face, two arms. You two hands hold a wish-fulfilling jewel. Wish-fulfilling jewel and victory banner. On the sun seed at your heart sits another white Tara with one face. Her two hands hold a red lasso that is like a straight rope, at the tip of which is marked with the wish-fulfilling jewel. You and white Tara at your heart sits cross-legged with the Vajra position. Please repeat this. You are inseparable from all the Buddhas of the three times, from the three Kayas and their pristine wisdom. Superior leader of migrated beings, please grant me the sacred Jenang permission of the Reverend Tara. Please bestow me the sacred Jenang. Think that white rays of light radiate out from the syllable Om at the crown of her head of the Reverend Tara, of the front generation, who is inseparable from the Lama. The light dissolves into the crown of your head. Thereby you attain the Jenang of the body. Again, from rays of light radiate from the syllable A at the throat of the Reverend Tara and of the front generation, who is inseparable from the Lama. The light dissolves into your throat and you attain the Jenang of speech. So that's the mantra. Again, blue rays of light radiate from the seed syllable Hum at the heart of the Aryatara, and they dissolve into the heart, your heart. Think that you attain the Jenang of, or the permission of the mind of Aryatara. Please repeat this request. You are inseparable from the Buddhas of the three times, from the three Kayas and the prison wisdom, superior leader of transmigrators. Please grant me the sacred jennings of the Reverend Tara, the jennings of body, speech, and mind. So visualize rays of light radiate out from the heart of the deity in front and work all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions in the form of Reverend Tara. Think that the Taras gently dissolve into your body. The Lama holds the dentor. It's called. So this represents the main deity. It's quite big, His Holiness said. And just as the boat of marvelous compassion refers to the vow to liberate all migrated beings from the sea of worldly existence, so is the great Samaya, Ehahi. And this is touched on your, imagine this is touched on your head. With this, you attain the blessing of the body. Visualize that a second mantra chain arises from the mantra chain at the heart of the Lama. The second mantra chain exits from the mouth of the Lama, enters your mouth, and settles at your heart. Then rays of light that appear in the form of lassos, hooks, and so forth radiate out from your heart. Please repeat this. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Om Savaloka. Angusha Zaza. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Om Savaloka. Angusha Zaza. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Om Sarvaloka. Angusha Zaza. So it says reciting this 108 times, but 3 will do. And then think that you are Tara. Visualize the limited rays of light appear in the form of the seed syllable Tam. Arise from the Tam at the heart of the Reverend Tara in front of you. The rays of light dissolve into your mind that appears in the form of Tam, and that is at your heart. And so this concentration being Tam, which has been already visualized, and thereby your mind becomes pure and takes on the nature of clear light. So Tam syllable try to do a critical analysis to find the identity of the Tam itself. And so this is the seed syllable of Aryatara, but when you do critical analysis to find the Tam, you cannot find it anywhere. All these things in samsara and nirvana are designated by our mind, but mind itself is without any intrinsic existence. Therefore, emaho, this nature of the ultimate nature of things. And just as the autumn cloud dissipate in the sky, likewise, all the appearances also dissolve within this emptiness. As I usually recite, there is, at the crossroad of the 6 perceptions, there is this haze, the deceptive appearance. Do not regard things to have any intrinsic existence, but meditate on emptiness. And so, with the help of this meditation on emptiness, serving as the curative condition, So thereby your mind becomes pure and takes the nature of God. Visualize that the letter R, that is a part of the syllable Tam, dissolves into the letter Ta, which in turn dissolves into this upper part of Ta, and the upper part of Ta then dissolves into this crescent-like symbol of the seed syllable, and the crescent-like symbol dissolves into the circular symbol, the circular symbol dissolving into nada, that is flame-like symbol of the seed. The nada that disappears into space, enter into the meditative absorption that focuses on the inseparability of the mind of Aryatara in your mind. To illustrate this, visualize that each disciple is given the primordial wisdom of Reverend Tara in the form of wish-fulfilling jewel. So you're given a pill. First, His Holiness says, I'll have a taste of it. So it's quite tasty. So you may be tasty, you may be feeling hungry, and therefore this will taste more delicious, more and more delicious. With this, you attain the blessing of the mind, all the blessings of the mind. Please repeat this 3 times. Please repeat. Bhagavati plus commandment, please bless me. Bhagavati plus commandment, Bhagavati please bless me. Bhagavati please commandment, please. Bhagavati please bless me. Think that the deity of the Dharma deity resolves into you and the your body, speech, and mind. The body, speech, and mind of the meditative deity and your body, speech, and mind become inseparable. Then visualize that the jewel transforms into nectar. Just as you have command, O Chief One, I will pay heed to it. That's what you're saying 3 times. Please offer a mandala, Thanksgiving mandala. Nyede Gemba de Sanje Shingdo Mekte Bewa Ye Drogun Namda Shingla Chubarash. Dirish. Dirish. Tugan Dromayus. Please say the prayer or the words of truth. Nyam chon dro la po chi taragon be tu sum de shik se tang lo marach da ge den be me nga di gong shi si shi dong se yon za to be zam ning yang be pen de pel do de zhen ke dan chu be ke bon che che nam che cha wa pel warans mi se le ngen cha be yon parame tu ke nar ve nyam tha dro se ka ne tsu mo ke chi pa Shinen dega yatsu uyun zu ke bara kanchun chen den ke dron na cho la le pun ke zemet nyen gu jombe cha dan chi men nyo do che be to che to bon nyo mo den ye nye be lang ju Shen Ye Pong Ge Be Ning Jie Yu Mi Sun Ke Yu Zong Nan Lo Yong Top Chum Se Tse We Pe Lo 人人多那呗对呗天用作培中让王曾就是从这高端拉绝呗看上牛啊也都等到天津就是让人来绝呗绿色龙泉用的高瓦家茶这呗给我那么出进我
觉突觉中了多拉古波耶人自王世界教育解马康节有作家节跟那康节至少地的牛的教我老多纪念三百天天出所得觉多难的来的路的的老早
때문에 되서는 뭐 제년함도 쉬어라 산이 쇼게 송정어라 로주 전도를 책임게 집이 민합주 탐바 데 산이 쇼게 땡겨왔다 나니가 년좀당 제점게 안에 차게 표현해 디인데 산이 쇼게 로주 전도를 슈되게